So we're on chapter 18 in your biology, and we were on section 3, going with the turtles and then on to the crocodiles. And so this is part 2 because we're going to talk about the crocodiles. I didn't want to talk about crocodiles and turtles on one video because you might get things mixed up, which really it's kind of hard because they're totally different. But here we have crocodiles are the largest living reptiles, as you see in this picture. So you see the different kinds of crocodiles there. There we go. There's crocodiles, alligators, caimans, and gavials. And you see here's the caiman. It's like the Cayman Islands, caiman. Here's the crocodile. Here's an alligator here. You see the alligator from the water. And here's a gharial. See the difference of how they look? Those are the different kinds of crocodile. They're all tropical or subtropical. That means they can't live in really cold waters. So alligator means big lizard. In fact, Spanish it means alargate, which means the lizard or the big lizard. So alligators and caimans. The caimans live in Latin America. They're kind of similar, as you can see. They have a broad triangle. Alligators have a broad triangular head, and they have concealed teeth. So here we have an alligator. See how they have the large head here, and then they have concealed teeth. So they're a little bit different. The crocodiles have narrower snouts. See the snout of the crocodile? Narrow snouts there, and they have protruding teeth. Their teeth stick out. See how their teeth are sticking out the sides? That's the difference between a crocodile here and this alligator over here. Crocodiles live in Florida, South America, Africa, India. Crocodiles are considered more ferocious than alligators, although they're both, you would hate to get involved with either one of them. Alligator seems like it would be pretty ferocious to me too. In America, they said basically the American crocodiles are not so much as man-eaters, but lately we've had, definitely had crocodiles attack kids and stuff, so we know that they can be very dangerous. Look at these, the gharial, or gharial, I think that's how you pronounce the name. They're fish eating of South Asia. They're extremely long, as you can see. And they have those narrow snouts with numerous teeth coming out the side. The male has a hollow hump. Here's a kind of a hump there. Basically, the tip of their snout too, this hollow hump there. The nostrils are at the end. Here's their nose, clear over here on that side. Can you imagine that? The nostrils are clear at the end, kind of way. So characteristics of them, of crocodiles, the crocodilians. They have webbed claw feet. They can swim and crawl. They have short, strong legs. They move side to side and side to side. They like to move to the side because they can't see that well and moving to the side. And so a crocodile won't just move straight, it moves to the side. They have long, powerful tails that they propelled in the water, so they can get around in the water real well with their long tails. They a lot of times stay submerged, except for their eyes and nose. They're just coming out, nostrils. So a lot of times you won't see them. You'll see floating down these rivers, and all of a sudden you see little eyes coming out. That's a little spooky. They got an alligator in there. They have the nictitating membranes of their eyes to clean and moisten their eye, like a third eyelid. They have valves in their nostrils and in their ears to keep the water out. It's kind of handy, huh? They have no lips, but they have a fleshly flap in the rear of their mouth to prevent the water from coming in and flooding their lungs and mouth. They're carnivores, of course, and they like to hold their prey underwater and drown them to suffocate them before they eat them. Let's see what else. Oh, their teeth. If they lose their teeth, they grow another teeth. They lose another tooth, they grow teeth all of their life. They also have thick bony plates on their back, and these plates give them this flexible armor that's pretty, as you can see, almost like they have a armor. And their eyes and their nostrils are high on their skull, as you can see. They're very unusual in a certain way, is that they lay eggs. They're oviparous, and they lay eggs on the shore, and then they conceal their eggs. The female will watch over the nest, and then when the eggs hatch and these little alligators or crocodiles come out, the female will be there and watch over them as they're watching over, transport those young and bring them close to the water so they can get in the water. And then they'll swim around with their mother, and they'll crawl on her on the land, and she'll kind of teach them, how to hunt and what they're supposed to do, and swimming and such. And then a lot of times they'll put them in the rushes and stuff, but they seldom put the young crocodiles and bring them in with the other adult crocodiles, because sometimes the other adults will eat the younger. That's kind of weird. So they kind of keep the young all together, the mothers do, so that they don't get eaten. So can you believe that they put in the midst of the sand and stuff, and on the and sand, and in all these little areas along these different bayou areas, they'll dig holes to put their young there and watch over. There have been some extinct crocs. The extinct crocodiles that you see, the fossils of them, some of them are 40 foot long. That's a big crocodile. And they weigh 12,000 pounds. That is indeed a big, gigantic crocodile. So let's go on here. It's a lot about crocodiles. Now we're going to our Tuatara. Here's the Tuatara. This is a weird one. The Tuataras are spiny crested, and they are not in the crocodile. They're their own category. So they call them, let's go up here, Sphenodon. The Sphenodon is the only genus in a family and order of all of its own, Tuatara, because there's nothing like them. They have their own. They're one and only and rare. There's only 2 different species, and they're both in the Chenodon family, or genus, I should say. And so they have this spiny type back. In fact, Tuatara means spiny crest or spiny back. And they are lizard-like. They live in New Zealand. So these are all different of their own. There they are. They have a crest of spine on their neck, back, and tail, as you can see there. The spine's on it. They have a third eye, although you can't see it in this picture very much, but they have this third eye on top of their head. They call it the parietal eye. And this is at the top of their brain, and it's like a hole in their skull. And this eye is really, it senses radiation. They can't really see from it, but it senses radiation from the sun. And it has no muscles, so it can't focus or see or anything. So these guys are nocturnal. That means they come out at night. They eat insects. They're insectivores, eating insects. The males are usually about 2 pounds and 2 feet long, and they can live up to 50 years. Think of it. And their eggs are incubating their eggs for a long period of time, from 12 to 15 months. They incubate their eggs. They have to sit on their eggs for, like, can you imagine? 12 to 15 months? That's the longest incubation period of an animal when there's eggs. So they breathe 9 breaths per minute, which is pretty slow. And they can go for a whole hour without breathing. Very strange animals. So we're all toward the end of the lizards here. So, but before we get through the reptiles, I should say lizards, not only lizards, we did lizards and snakes and turtles, onto crocodiles and tuataras. But there used to be these other kinds, and these were called dinosaurs. So when we talk about dinosaurs, let's talk a little bit about them. The dinosaurs, they're not really, they're a little different than reptiles. Well, they're a lot bigger, that's for sure. Dinosaur means fearfully great and awe-inspiring. So in the Bible, it actually talks about a behemoth, and a behemoth describing it as a dinosaur back in the book of Job, which is one of the oldest books in the Bible. So Job 40 to 41. So the kinds of dinosaurs. The sauropods are the big, this is a picture of one of the sauropods here. Let's kind of go down. See that picture there? There we go. So can you imagine a sauropod there? They're large herbivores. That means they're plant eaters. They have long necks and tails. They can be 80 feet to 80,000 pounds. That's where they were, I could say back then. All we have is the fossils of them now. This one, there's a Apatosaurus. This is a Apatosaurus, but the Apatosaurus is very similar to the Brontosaurus. In the Brontosaurus, they're both sauropods. They call them sauropods. And so they're both pretty big. They called the Brontosaurus meaning thunder lizard. It's quite a lizard. The largest are the sauropods. And then we have the theropods. So let's talk about the theropods down here. A picture of them here. Here's a picture down here. You can see how big that Brontosaurus is. If you can see, here's how big the Brontosaurus is compared to a truck and compared to these other dinosaurs. So it's one of the bigger ones, right? You see? See that? There you go. See it a little better. So let's talk about the next group of dinosaurs are the theropods, and they're bipedal, which means they stand up on two legs. These theropods, there's a few different ones here. So there's two of them here actually, but there's, of course we know Tyrannosaurus rex. There's a Tyrannosaurus rex. What a big lizard, huh? It's the largest carnivore. It can run up to 30 miles per hour. That's fast. On those two legs, it would be able to run that fast. It's like 10,000 pounds. In fact, the skull is 5 feet, actually a skull being 5 feet long, and its teeth are 6-inch teeth. So it has these big long teeth in the front there. And they're like serrated like a steak knife or something. See, they're known for their teeth there. There's also, under the Tyrannosaurus, the Allosaurus is a 40-foot with stronger arms, so it's a little bit smaller, but same category. And there's the Deinonysaurus. These are Deinonysaurus right there. They're smaller. See that? They're smaller, but they're very active, as you can see. They're 5 foot and they're a predator, and they're very fast and agile. So those were the theropods. And then we have the ceratopsians. The ceratopsians are like the triceratops. So this is a picture of the triceratops down here. They kind of look like a little elephant-like. They're huge, of course. So the triceratops, they have 3 horns, 2 on the sides and 1 in the middle. They're elephant size. I mean, they're as big as an elephant. They had the massive skull. It's 8 foot by 4 foot skull, and the 2 and 3.5 foot horns. Those horns are like 2 to 3.5 feet. Those long horns there. 3 of them. That's why they call them triceratops. Tri meaning 3. Let's see what else about them. So I guess that's, whoops, kind of lost my picture here. Let's get back to it. Sorry about that. So the triceratops, let's go down there. Here's a picture of the triceratops. So, and of course, they have that big, huge, vast shell, or I should say big, massive skull part right here that comes up, that it kind of protects them from getting eaten. So, and then we have the pterodactyls. Pterodactyls are the flying. I don't see one. I don't see a pterodactyl here. So, nah. But they're the flying ones. Pterodactyls. And pterodactyls are a little bit different because they don't look like lizards in some way because they are covered with fur. They're Quetzalcoatlus. Quetzalcoatlus. Let's see. Quetzalcoatlus. That's the name of it. Quetzalcoatlus was a name of a pterodactyl. It had a 40-foot wingspan. And they fly. They have large heads, fur colored. They can be as large as some small airplanes, and they were excellent flyers. They used to think they couldn't fly very well, but they could. The pterodactyls. Okay. So also they had sea creatures. Let's see, maybe there's some on the next page. Sea creatures, and a couple of the sea creatures. In the Bible, it calls them Leviathan. There we go. Oh, here's a pterodon or a pterodactyl. You see it right there? That's how they look. They had it covered with fur a bit. So, and these here were the extinct sea creatures. So let's look at them. Let me kind of zoom in on them too. There you go. So we have the sea creatures being, in the Bible it describes the Leviathan, kind of like this sea dragon-like thing in Job 41. Could be these sea creatures. And we have the Plesiosaurus right there. There's a pliosaur. Oh, it's quite a deal, isn't it? One unique creature. And then we have the Ichthyosaurus, and it looks kind of like fish, but they're sea creatures there. And it swims like a dolphin, almost looks like a little bit of a dolphin there. These are extinct ones. The Elaminosaurus is 40-foot long with a 20-foot neck. And down to the Chronosaurus, we had jaws and they're 10-foot long by 60 feet. So these are some big sea creatures. And they are extinct now and come in the dinosaur family. So let's go on here. Let's see. As for dinosaurs, oh, the last part is, how did they all get extinct? The sudden extinction. We talk about sudden extinction. What happened? All of a sudden they all became extinct. Well, we know one thing is that they are all warm-blooded, so they couldn't get cold. So if they were ice age, that definitely would cause them to get extinct, but it would be over time. But now they found a lot of different dinosaurs all piled up like they were in a big, huge catastrophe, and they floated all together and piled up into down into the deep of the seas and stuff. So you can imagine, it just looks like a cataclysmic event. And what other cataclysmic event have we had in history besides the flood in the Bible? So you see that during the flood of Noah, a lot of these creatures could have been destroyed, and we see how they could have, and some of them were destroyed so quickly that they even had food in their mouth. It was like it wasn't like over time, and some of them were just caught all together, and we find all of their skeletons in a big bunch. So they had to have a sudden extinction. So kind of weird, that we don't have all these dinosaurs now. And there was, after the flood, the climate was changed, and there was definitely an ice age that got very cold, because if you go to the South Pole in Antarctica, you'll find a lot of these warm like a lot of jungle-like fossils there. So, which is kind of weird. And you find these sea creatures in areas where they couldn't have lived, especially in ice and snow. So it must have been warm at one time. So anyway, that's the end of the lizards and studying the reptiles with the lizards and the dinosaurs and the turtles and the crocodiles, and the snakes. And so now we're going to go on to the amphibians, and we'll be wrapping things up with this chapter. So that's it.